Final news story of the week. John is back. He has been in Japan. He did visit the Tokyo Game Show, and wow, you've put a whole list of stuff on the docket here that you want to talk about. So where do we begin? Well, let's talk about Tokyo Game Show because you were there. You did attend. Guess you
Yes,
saw some games.
I did, and I think the first thing I want to talk about is just like TGS is back. It's the feeling I got this year. It was huge. They were sold out. The crowds were like old school Tokyo Game Show style, like from what we remember from many years ago. Just the number of games there, the sheer volume of games on display, both big and small, and everything in between. It was up. There just was like a buzz and excitement around games in general that really was awesome to see. I was really happy with the way that turned out in that regard. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
along the way, of course, got to play some games. I've talked about some of these elsewhere, but I should talk about them here as well. Like, first of all, I got to play like Neo 3, for instance, which was cool from Koei Tecmo. I think it was the first time it was playable. They've sort of stuck with their classic engine, but pushed it to be much larger in terms of the environmental scope. And they had like a massive selection of PS5s all set up playing this game, and it was quite solid from what I played. It looked noticeably better than the other ones, despite the increase in scale. Um, so I was really happy to see that. It's more like it's like a little bit. My take is like it's a little bit of Elden Ring rubbing off on Neo, if you will, but it's still instantly harder than anything from Software, I would argue. These Neo games,
Mm-hmm.
man, especially Neo 2 was, and looking like this one as well. They're brutal, but good. Um, there was Resident Evil 9 there, which was finally shown running on Switch 2. And I think this one was actually so my take. So they only allowed you to see it handheld mode, so I didn't see what it looked like docked. Uh,
Yeah.
and my take is that the frame rate was kind of uncapped, where they were targeting. It was closer to 60, I would say, than I expected, but it was not like super stable 60. But they might get there actually. But the overall like visual quality, like running on the Switch 2 screen, despite the Switch 2 screen kind of sucking, the actual visual quality looked amazing. Like it genuinely looks like at a glance, you're like, wow, this actually looks like the PS5 version overall. I will say the biggest cuts I noticed actually comes down to things like hair rendering, which
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, PS5 and PC that we saw had the strand hair system that they added from RE4. Switch 2 definitely does not seem to have that. It's
Like
very noisy and
cards.
angular. Yeah, but like
Yeah.
they usually do great with cards, and I think they were less good in this instance. So, um, it also got me wondering about whether we're going to actually end up seeing a PS4 version. I'm starting to think we might actually. And if we do that, though, you won't get ray tracing. So
Mm,
this does seem to at least have the RTGI in place, from what I
okay.
could tell. So like the lighting and everything looked really good. And in fact, like the whole game, this is just a small little chunk of the game. It's a little tiny sliver that they've revealed. So we don't know what the overall scale is going to be like, how it's going to scale up in terms of the level sizes. But right now, um, this is boding very well for RE engine games on Switch 2, I would say. The fact that we've got the latest version already looking like this, running on the Switch 2 in portable mode, we never got here with Switch 1, right? Like they did the streaming versions of some RE games, but those were awful. And they never got RE engine games really running, not the high end RE engine games running natively on Switch 1. So this is great to see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy
Okay. Yeah,
about
that
that.
is cool.
Another great
Mm-hmm.
game I want to mention is Dench Attack, which was revealed during
Yes.
the Jeff Con Gamescom edition.
It's awesome.
During the pre-show, the developers were at the TGS and showing it off. And
Oh, that's great.
there's a couple things that really stuck out. First of all, yeah, it looks and sounds amazing. It's super fun. It's like this weird mix of like the Boost Sonic games mixed with like Tony Hawkish style concepts, but it's so fast. It's so fast to the point where I was surprised when they told me, "Oh yeah, it runs on Unreal Engine 5." And yet despite that, running on even on a Steam Deck, it's like super fluid, super high frame rates, and amazingly like no visible stutter. despite traversing these gigantic environments at a ridiculous speed. Like obviously they're not doing Lumen or Nanite or anything like that. And Lumen actually wouldn't really be great for a game moving at the speed, I would argue, because it
Yeah.
would never be able to coalesce into a solid image. It would just be noise. So, but it's super sharp, super awesome looking, running's really, really well right now. And it got a lot of buzz I could feel at the show, which I think is just awesome to see. So people are really stoked for this. The devs are really cool. And
Yeah.
there was actually just a ton of indie stuff there as well. I forget the exact name, but do you remember, Rich, that at Gamescom they revealed that one game? It was like the VKKKK or something, like some big mech game that was like with a very strange name. They actually brought the full, like it looked like a full mechanical setup, like a giant like 70s era looking like cockpit thing. So everybody was coming to sit down and play the game using this huge freaking cockpit, which was absolutely cool looking. So they had that set up and going. In fact, this year at TGS, the indie hall was so big that they had to expand up into the top area of the show floor, outside of the main floor. Like they built an entirely new space just to house all the games because there was too many applicants this year. So that kind of shows just how much was there. And of course, the big booths were there. Everybody was big represented. We went around Sega a little bit. I saw they showed off some of the new Virtua Fighter stuff, but same basic area. That's looking great, very promising. I played Yakuza 3 Kiwami, which is, it's the Okinawa one. That also shaping up really well. Still using Dragon Engine rather than Unreal, thankfully. They only did the one Unreal game. I think Dragon Engine kind of wins out for me. Just nice 60 FPS. Looks really attractive visuals all around. Yeah, so that was all good. I got to do I was with my buddy Thomas, and he set up some interviews with the Neo guys as well as the head of Omega Force. And so I got to do my debut doing kind of an interpreter, which was
Right.
really cool to be able to do that, and successfully pulled off these nice interviews, going from Japanese to English and back. So that went really, really well. And the Omega Force one was just awesome. Because he wasn't there to promote any specific new game. And they couldn't really talk about the Hyrule series too much because it's not Koei Tecmo's IP, but we just reminisced about the old PS2 days. And like he's like, they were originally just going to make a fighting game sequel to the Dynasty Warriors fighting game on PlayStation 1. And then I think it was like programmer named Suzuki-san came up, like he realized, oh wait, there's like this crazy simulation we can do on the PS2 hardware to get like a ton of dudes running around. And they just like, what can we do with this? And started to come up with these ideas to make this game. And despite Kessen, the strategy game from Koei, also having big crowds, they were actually developed completely separate, and they started development at exactly the same time. So it was just a coincidence that both of those teams stumbled upon this like whole big crowd dynamics thing. And the guy we talked to, which was now the head of Omega Force at the time, he ended up doing all the level designs for Dynasty Warriors 2 and the UI stuff like by himself. So they did announce a remake of Dynasty Warriors 3 / Shin Sengoku Musou 2, and he didn't even want to do it. But apparently fans have been requesting it, and he realized like, hey, anything older than Dynasty Warriors 7 is not playable on modern platforms, so let's go ahead and do it. And so they kind of did this whole rebirth thing. It's not just visuals, they're making changes to the core mechanics to make it more modern, and it's looking pretty good. So that was good. So TGS in a nutshell, just a lot of cool games on display, a lot of energy in the area. I was only there on the first business day, but I understand it got even crazier the next few days. And you can imagine a sold out public day, what that might look like. Kind of like
Yeah.
Gamescom, actually. But
Wow. Okay.
slightly
I'd rather not imagine that, to be honest.
we also got some other fun stuff over there. I visited the Tatsujin office, which is headed by Yuge-san, who was famously one of the key members of Toa Plan. I don't know if you guys know Toa Plan, but they were a very famous game company back in the day that essentially created the modern vertical shooting games, right?
Yep. Yep.
Like they
Hmm.
did so much and they were so influential. And when they broke up, they formed other big companies like Cave, right? Like the remnants of Toa Plan became all these other fragments that like expanded that whole genre. So like these guys were shooters. And they're making a new one called Tatsujin Extreme, which was shown initially 2 years ago at TGS, and it was not in good shape. I called it the widest shooter ever, where it felt like it was a widescreen vertical shooter, but it felt like meandering from one side of the screen to the other took like a year. So it was very, very slow. I played the latest build, and like the difference is night and day. It is so fast and fun, and it has this like co-op mode that I played with Thomas that was just like basically you imagine a vertical shooter, your buddy gets hit, he goes into like this limp state where he can be killed if he gets hit again, but if you fly over to him in time, you trigger one of your bombs and it also sort of like brings him back from the brink. So there's like actually like a real co-op element to it where you're like taking on these levels, but when your friend needs help you actually have to go get them, which I don't recall ever seeing in a vertical shooter. So
Nice. Well, these guys are hardcore, right? Toa Plan. I mean, you'd be talking like Tiger Heli, Slap Fight, the hilariously
yeah,
named Slap
Slap
Fight
Fight,
from back in the day. Hellfire, of course.
Hellfire, Batsugun, Zero Gunner.
Mhm.
We actually asked Yuge-san about the infamous "All Your base are belong to us" line.
Okay.
He was said actually for us it was like super embarrassing translation.
Why? Oh, what? Because
Because they knew the
wasn't
translation
great.
was bad. But
Right.
we were like, dude, it became legendary. Like people love that game because of that. So they've kind of accepted it into their hearts now. But when it initially hit, it was like, oh, this is really embarrassing. We did we did a bad job. But thankfully people love it. So it's just cool to see these guys working again like this. And like I got to talk to a musician who worked back at Kaneko back in the day, and he had some fun stories as well. It's just like dripping with history there. Like these guys just want to make cool games. And I think Yuge-san himself said like, oh, I have no plans to retire, I'm just going to keep making games until I die. Basically.
Right.
Which some of these, I get it. Like he's just, that's what he wants to do. Like he doesn't want to stop doing this stuff. So he's just going to keep going. I think that's great.
Mhm.
And speaking of legends, I also got to join Mitsuyoshi-san, the famous Daytona singer and musician who also did
Right.
the Shenmue soundtrack, among many, 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 many others, who's been at Sega for ages. He's just like, his whole career has been nothing but Sega. I got to join him for a live stream on the Sega Sound Team channel, which was really, really fun. You can check that out. We did the stream in Japanese, but it has auto-generated English subtitles now if you want to watch it.
Mhm.
I was really happy to join them for that and talk about some TGS stuff.
Nice.
Also visited the M2 offices again, but didn't really see anything new this time. Was just catching up with those guys and all their amazing work. They did the Gradius Origins collection, Night Striker. They're doing Night Striker gear, which is something I plan to cover at some point as part of a larger video. So yeah, that was good. And of course, lots of retro game shopping. So,
Tell me more. Come on.
well, you mentioned Slap Fight. I finally got a Slap Fight MD. So,
Wow.
for the Mega Drive, which I wanted that, and I got it for significantly less than half the going rate that it typically fetches. So I could add that to my Mega Drive collection. Really happy about that one. Got a few other deals. I got like a very cheap copy of Panzer Bandit for PlayStation 1, which I've been looking for, which is sort of like a 3D action, 3D graphic, but side-scrolling action game with sprite-based characters. That's pretty sweet. We went out shopping. We actually went out in cars this time. So driving out into the countryside. I'd insert credits own Brandon Sheffield with us.
Oh, cool.
Who we just had a great time just like going through all these different shops. He was digging deep in the vinyl section with his like phone up there, like listening to samples and just like picking up like so much like city pop and other things. It was quite enjoyable just to go out there and do all that. So all in all, I mean, what can I say? It was fun. I had a great time. Met lots of great industry people. The 8-4 party this year was great. I also did the 8-4 podcast while I was there, so that's another one worth checking out. Yeah, just I love the industry vibes happening over in Japan right now. There's a lot of energy there that had been missing for a while, and it
Hmm.
feels like it's like Japan is back on the rise in terms of just like really creating awesome stuff, and that's great.
You bumped into Yoshida-san, didn't you?
That's right, Shu Yoshida at the party there. Very briefly, I finally got to chat with him in person, and it was nice. He still does remember us, indeed. Uh, and including that PlayStation launch video I did with Audi some years ago.
Oh
So,
yeah.
which was one of my favorite videos we ever did. Oh yeah, super nice dude. I was really happy to talk to him, and maybe we'll see if we can get him on here one of these days. Now that he's free of the shackles of Sony, still.
Good stuff. Well, when are you next going back?
I'll probably go back next May. We'll see.
Hmm.
Because they moved Bit Summit up to May this time. I want to go to
Okay.
Bit Summit, but it's usually like July and it's in Kyoto, which is like stupidly hot, like over 40 degrees C with extreme
Uh,
humidity. And my body's just like, nope, I'm not doing that. So the fact that they've now moved it up to May makes it like suddenly like, maybe I can go now.
fair enough. Sounds cool. I'm glad you had a good time anyway.
Yes, thanks. And you guys did a good job keeping down the fort. I noticed lots of great content flowing. And most importantly, there was so many people that I got to meet that just love what we're doing. And it made me feel good about what like the content we're all creating. Like that people actually do seem to care a lot about it. Especially when you hear stories about like how like just somehow we've helped people get through difficult times in their lives, and just like having these regular voices talking about games in the way that we do, just like it's like this like friendly voice, a little window into this like this little portion of the games industry that people really enjoy. So I'm really happy that we can provide that. So, and a lot of people wanted to see Rich. Like, is Rich around? It's like, no, I'm afraid not. He hasn't been back in Japan for quite some time, I believe.
Yeah, I'd say it's 25 years.
Yeah, you were there during the Dreamcast era, right?
The last time I went was actually just before the launch of the PlayStation 2.
Wow, that's a legendary time to be there, though.
Yeah, it was because the Tokyo Game Show had. Do you remember they had those giveaway discs for the PlayStation
I
2?
do.
It might have been. I guess it was 2000 that I went. Probably wouldn't have been 99. I don't
Right.
think when those discs were being given out.
Did you get them?
Yes, obviously, of course, they're lost to the.
Oh, because man, I want the GT 2000 disc because that's.
Yep.
I did actually stumble upon a Ridge Racer 5 disc from that PlayStation event, the demo
Oh,
disc
really?
version. It was like it cost me like a dollar if I do the conversion. So I couldn't help but grab it just to have at least one remnant of that event. But no GT 2000 disc to be found, alas.
It's a shame. Yeah. The funny thing is, of course, is that when I actually got back to the UK and showed people GT 2000, they weren't actually that impressed with it.
No, I mean
But to be fair, it wasn't anywhere near as good as the actual game
that
came
was
out
what
on the
made GT
PlayStation
2000
2.
so interesting, because GT3 itself ended up looking a lot better than GT 2000.
People were just sort of looking at it saying, well, it's certainly a bit higher, higher resolution than the game I just played on the PS1, but is that it?
Yeah.
And then obviously the rest was history when the actual game came along.
Oh yeah.
It's just amazing stuff. Okay, well, amazing stories there. Thanks, John. And look forward to, I guess you're looking forward to your next visit there.
You bet. Absolutely.
Seems to be like a spiritual home for you, for your gamer side, so to speak.
Seems to be these days. Now that I've spent so much time getting back into the language and everything, it's been very satisfying. And Japanese developers and musicians, and they're very eager to talk and share stories. It's just you need to be able to speak to them. It's really that simple. And it feels a lot more open and friendly in a way than the West, which is like super guarded behind like closed PR doors and regional branches and stuff. You know what I mean? It's just easier to get access to people where you're like, wow, like it's amazing. I can just come up and talk to you like this. Where in the US, it's like, no, not a chance. Like he's going to be sequestered behind multiple doors and PR people. You cannot speak to
Yeah,
this
there's-
man.
that's for sure. Yeah.